This is a 1951 Chevy Fleetline, and I put a 5.3 Vortec into it, and the transmission was stock with it. So, and I put a Ford 8.8 rear end into it, and me and my dad put the air ride onto it, which is actually why it sits so low. So none of the suspension's stock. Basically, none of it's really stock besides the looks of it. Besides that, I put disc brakes on it, a Mustang 2 front end kit, and right now I've been really trying to redo the inside of it. That's the only part I haven't done. It's pretty good. It's a good driver besides that, so now I'm trying to make it nice, really. I just got these seats into it. They are from a random Lincoln from a junkyard, but they fit nice and they're leather. And I got done redoing the whole floor. There was some bad rust spots, so I had to cut all of them out. So right now, I've just been doing wiring for the most part, but I did most of this floor. It doesn't look good, but it's all going to be covered up. My next step now is just to lay down carpet and installation, and then basically just try to make it as nice looking as I can. I'm gonna make door covers for it, door panels, and then I want to redo the top of it, and then after that I plan on painting the outside of it. That's the last big step for me to learn too. If I get that, then I know how to put a motor in, I know how to put brakes on, I know how to do everything. I did the air ride suspension, so then if I paint it and everything myself, then I pretty much got everything down that I wanted to learn. I haven't done any of this kind of stuff before, so all of it's a new learning process for me, but that's been pretty much everything on the car. I've never really done most of this stuff. I started when I was 16. That's when I got this car, and basically I'm gonna eventually learn everything there is to learn about a car, so that's the cool part. I started driving it in high school, and when I first started driving I had stock suspension and stuff, but every winter I did something to it. I did the air ride in the back and the air ride in the front. So each year I basically just came to school with a slightly cooler car. Definitely the coolest car to begin with, but so that is my air tank with my compressor to the right of it. And then you can actually have this hole cut out here for the actual airbags, just in case if anything were to happen, I could work on them on the road or if I needed to. Basically, when I put the air ride suspension in it, it made everything way better, because when I got it, it was stock. It's way smoother, and it basically feels like a normal car now. It takes bumps really well, and recently I just drove it over 1,000 miles, so that was the longest trip I've ever done in it, and it went really good too.
Where'd you take it?
We went to Dubuque, Iowa, so there and back is just under 1,000 miles. This was actually my first tattoo, and I got it right when I was 18 on my 18th birthday. It was extremely painful, and I kind of regretted it. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I've had this idea since I was 16, and this was the only tattoo I felt really strongly about, and I actually have a big emotional connection with it, just because I've spent so much time working on this car, and I've just put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it, literally, so it meant a lot to me for that to be my first tattoo.
My name's Zach Ankrum from Sioux City. I drive a 1964 Chevy C10. I've had the truck since I think 2015. I actually bought it from my wife's brother and did some swindling and dealing and pretty much bought it without many people knowing. We took it up to WIT and pretty much did all the paint and body work was done up there for the 2 years that we did there. And then pretty much since, it's been every winter we've done something additional. We went to the power brakes, disc brakes, all the front end's been updated to an 87 C10. The motor and tranny are all out of a 99 Silverado, so it's all fuel injected. Pretty much can drive it and cruise it just about anywhere we want. And that's pretty much what we built it for. It is on air ride on all 4 corners. Pretty much there hasn't been a bolt on the truck that I haven't touched. I mean, every single thing has been touched at least once, if not twice, if not more. I try to put as many miles as I possibly can on it. Like with this actually, so like when I turn on, I have no gauges whatsoever. The only gauges that I have in here are these ones for my air ride. And then I've got my oil pressure and my volts. I've actually got a deal for the motor itself for all the wiring that I can control my gauges off my phone. So the only way, like I have my speedometer and stuff, is off of this. So then it'll show me my engine temp, my miles per hour, and then just a few little other things that I need to know. When I start to air up, it'll actually read each corner for what the pressures are. That is my air control. So that's what lifts all of it up. So I've got control to each corner, and then the front, both fronts, both backs, and then the whole truck. Another one of those forms of I'm too cheap to go spend the money on a bed kit. It's actually just 3/4 inch plywood from Home Depot that we burned and then cleared over. And it's 2 separate pieces, so I had to add the 1 strip, and then we put the other 2 just to kind of mimic it, make it look decent to each other. I built this truck on a low budget, and it's one of those where if I ain't got the money to do it, then we don't do it. If I got the extra cash, we do it. And that's kind of how I live on everything. So if we can, we can. If we don't, we don't.
61 Chevy Bel Air. Put air ride on it. Had the roof painted. Put a 5.3 LS motor out, no 04 Suburban in it. So everything's fuel injected. Ready to go. Air ride does make it a smoother ride than just regular coil suspension. The reliability with the fuel injected is what we're after, because we like to do road trips.
Reliability, probably better gas mileage too then, right?
Oh yeah, average like 20 on the highway. Oh yeah, way better than a carburetor.
So you said you're gonna replace the windshield?
Yep, windshield's coming out because it's scratched. Gonna repaint the car this winter. It's gonna get white with a purple pearl, so it'll stand out a little bit more than what it does now.
It's a 1953 Chevy 210. It's a standard model sedan. Originally got it to go on a honeymoon, me and the wife's honeymoon. So I bought it and built it in 6 months, and then we drove to Vegas. I just knew I had a deadline, so I just had to stay on it. Just pretty much every night working on it. Couldn't take breaks and stuff like that. But it's actually better to do it that way anyways, because I did it in the winter, so you start in the fall, and I had a car to drive by spring. It's got modern suspension in the front, Mustang 2. I have an S10 rear end in the back, 2-link style rear end with the air ride on it. It's got a 700R overdrive transmission and a 383 small block stroker motor in it. So that's about it. Interior, power brakes, standard stuff, I guess.